To Germany now, where the Social Democrats have clinched a narrow victory over Chancellor Angela Merkel's Christian Democratic Union. But SPD leader Olaf Scholz will have to form a coalition with other parties if he is to replace the country's longest-serving leader. And the parties he chooses to pair up with could set the direction for Europe's largest economy. Moba Nasser reports.
After 16 years of being led by Angela Merkel, Germans appear ready for a change at the helm of government. Election results show that her Christian Democratic Union has been edged out of the top spot by the Social Democrats, who are now vying to lead the next government.
The SPD was given a clear mandate to govern everywhere in Germany. I have often discussed with citizens during this election campaign who would be the right person for the chancellorship. Olaf Scholz can do it. We are deeply convinced of that.
But Scholz will need the support of other parties to form a coalition government. He's relying on the business-friendly Free Democratic Party and the pro-environment Greens, who together with his own party have bagged 53% of the votes.
The voters are very clearly spoken. They said who should form the next government. They strengthened three parties, the Social Democrats, the Greens and the FDP. This is therefore the clear mandate of the citizens of this country. These three should form the next government.
But there are significant differences between their manifestos. The Greens want to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 70% by 2030, much higher than the current government target of 55%. That would raise costs for businesses, a move the FDP opposes. The Greens also want to raise social spending, but the FDP doesn't want to raise taxes, and the SDP campaigned on the promise of reining in government debt. The SDP would also likely face opposition from its would-be coalition partners over the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, which Scholz's party considers key for securing Germany's energy supplies. Ironing out these differences could take time, delaying reforms that many businesses and investors believe are long overdue.
What's important is that we get a government quickly. The new government needs to carry out historic reforms.
Still, Scholz is hopeful that some common goals, like reviving the EU and boosting relations with the US, will unite all three parties.
I think the first topic for German politics will be to form a stronger and more sovereign European Union. Transatlantic partnership is of essence for us in Germany and for a government that will be led by me.
The SDP leader says his party can form a government before Christmas. Until that happens, Merkel remains in the Chancellor's office. If Scholz fails to garner the support he needs, Merkel's CDU could once again be in position to lead Germany's next government. Moba Nasser, TRT World.
Well, let's get more on this now with TRT World's correspondent in Berlin, Sibel Karkus. Hi, Sibel. As we heard there, the Social Democrats narrowly edged out the Christian Democrats to win the majority of votes in Sunday's elections. Olaf Scholz still has to form a coalition, as we know. Can you tell us how those negotiations are currently progressing and how long will they take?
It was really a neck-and-neck race there on Sunday, and if we take a closer look, this fight for power, this fight for having a say in Europe's biggest economy is actually far from over. So the Social Democrats, Olaf Scholz, he said he wants to start first exploratory talks with the Greens, possibly at the end of this week on Friday, and he hopes to conclude coalition talks by Christmas. But if we take a look at 2017, if we go by 2017, where those negotiations took around 6 months, we can probably expect the same this year. And Scholz will probably need more than just the Greens, because the two don't have enough seats in this new Bundestag to form a two-way alliance. So they might have to probably go with what's the most likely option, the so-called traffic light coalition, together with the liberal, more business-friendly FDP. And the FDP probably will want a high price price to pay for that. And their leader, Christian Lindner, he is actually eyeing the post of the future finance minister. And no matter what coalition comes out, German business associations have said they want these talks to conclude swiftly, and they want a commitment from all parties to Germany as an export, industry and innovation country.
And that could be a problem, couldn't it? Because we know the Greens are seen as being business unfriendly, if you like, with their climate change policies, whereas, as you say, the Free Democrats, the FDP, are pro-business. We know that those two parties, as you say, are going to be the most likely coalition partners for Olaf Scholz. Is he likely to find any common ground between the Social Democrats, the FDP and the Greens?
It looks to be difficult when we look at wages. For example, both the SPD and the Greens have agreed on a rise of the minimum wage to 12 euros. The FDP said it could agree to that, but it would like to see that to be implemented just step by step, to not be a burden on the job market. And when it comes to climate policy, although both the SPD and the Greens said they have the most overlaps among all the parties, the SPD may not agree to, for example, an earlier coal exit than 2038, which the Greens have suggested. And the SPD also probably doesn't want to have a higher price for CO2, as the Greens have suggested a price of about 60 euros. And the FDP, for example, also when it comes to taxes, they don't really want to see an increase in taxes. They want to stick to Germany's debt brake as well. And if that will be possible with all the new investment that the Greens suggest to be made into renewable energies remains to be seen. And if we look at all these hurdles and more, those negotiations could not only be lengthy, but they will probably also require uneasy compromise.
If Olaf Scholz does succeed in forming a government, what policies would he be looking to implement that could potentially impact and even reshape the German economy?
Olaf Scholz, just as the FDP, for example, he is favoring a reintroduction of the debt brake, the so-called black zero, that does want to limit new debt. He wants to reintroduce that by 2038. And when it comes to all new investments, he says it should not be the government who invests in, let's say, renewable energies, more innovation, research and science, but he says there is potential in the private sector, and that the private sector should be investing in these new reforms. And if we look at voters, they also feel that Olaf Scholz is the most qualified candidate to both unite these climate-friendly policies with Germany's economy. But no matter if Scholz will be the new chancellor, because there's also a possibility that it could probably still be Laschet. That will be determined by the Bundestag in coming months. No matter what the outcome is, the future chancellor will have to face the double challenge of not only uniting business-friendly and climate policies, but also defining Germany's role on the international stage if we look at Brexit, China policies, and also Germany's role in the EU.
Okay, Sibel Karkus, TRT World's correspondent in Berlin. Thank you so much again for that update.